for the technical difficulties. Welcome to our webinar this afternoon. Before we get started, we hope you are all doing well and staying healthy. I want to let you know how William James College is responding to COVID-19. Our classes have moved online, and our staff and faculty are mostly working remotely. Some staff are in the building to allow students to come in to use the library and other resources in the building. You may know that we are already offer online programs through our Organizational and Leadership Psychology department. So we were well equipped with the right platform and IT support to move classes online. While many of our other faculty did not previously offer online courses, they have quickly adapted to the new format, worked out some of the bumps, and are participating in weekly training sessions to deepen their ability to deliver high-quality, engaging classes online. We are fully prepared to continue classes online into the spring if the current public health emergency requires it. Some of you may just be beginning your research on graduate schools, and others may have been admitted to William James and looking to make an enrollment decision. We know your finances are an important aspect of your decision making, and we're here to support you and answer your questions. My name is Daniel Brent. I'm the Vice President of Finance and Operations here at William James College, and I'm here with Hilary Baxter, Director of Financial Aid, who will take you through the presentation. We'd like to make this as interactive as possible, so please don't hesitate to ask questions. Otherwise, it's a little boring listening to us speak the whole time. We're going to start out with an audience poll. See if I can get that launched here. Okay, what's your primary area of interest? We got school psychology, clinical mental health counseling, organizational leadership psychology, and our bachelor's completion degree. All right, thank you for responding. So 71% interested in clinical psychology and 14% for clinical mental health counseling and our OLP programs. Okay, Hilary, take it over.
Hi, everyone. As Dan said, my name is Hilary Baxter. I'm the Director of Financial Aid. The number one question that we get is, how can I pay for this? So, Dan, I don't know if the slides are being shown.
You know what? I did share it. Let me, I think they are.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? I got to close the poll out.
Okay.
There you go. Thank you. Yep.
So some of the different types of aid are listed here, such as scholarships, which can be both institutional and outside scholarships, employer reimbursement, federal work study, which I'll explain more in more detail later on, and both federal and private loans. So in terms of scholarships, last year we awarded just under $2 million in merit aid. Each department awards the merit-based scholarships, and there's no separate application for most of them. You'll automatically be considered for these funds through the admissions process, and if you're awarded one, you'll be notified on your acceptance letter, and it'll also be included in your financial aid package. The other scholarships listed here do have some specific requirements, so please be sure to look at our website, or you can reach out directly to admissions. So this slide has some sites that you can go on to look for outside scholarships that might be available. Unfortunately, at the graduate level, they're pretty limited, but we do get notifications from different outside sources occasionally. So if anything seems to pertain to our student body, we'll definitely let you know. So now on to applying for federal financial aid. If you've never submitted the Fafsa before, which is the free application for federal student aid, you'll need to create an FSA username and password, and then you can go on to studentloans.gov to submit the Fafsa. I do want to mention, it says it here, but if you're applying for January, it would be 2020-2021, and if it's for next fall, it would be 2021-2022. So as I mentioned before, work study is part of federal financial aid. If you indicate on your Fafsa that you're interested in it, we would automatically include it in your financial aid package if you show a need. These positions are listed on CareerLink as they become available, and we have a lot of students just working in different departments throughout the building. Are there any questions so far?
Looks like I've got a quiet audience so far.
Okay. So as I said, submitting the Fafsa is the first step, And this next slide shows the federal funds that you'd be considered for, and it depends on your program level, your level of need, and your cost of attendance. So the Stafford Loan is the main loan that graduate students use. Here are some of the requirements listed. You have to be a U.S. citizen or permanent resident. You have to be at least half-time in a degree-seeking program, and you must be making satisfactory academic progress. The interest rates and loan fees tend to change yearly, and there are annual and lifetime limits, which can be seen here as well. So if you're accepted by admissions and we have your Fafsa, we'll follow up with an award letter within 7 to 10 days. The award letter will include the loan amount, scholarships, and work study if applicable. It'll also include an estimated budget and options to cover remaining expenses through additional loans, which would either be the Grad Plus or private student loans. So the other loan that I mentioned is the Federal Grad Plus loan. You have to be a credit-worthy applicant, and if you have any concerns about your credit, you might want to check it now. It also has a higher interest rate and a loan origination fee, but you'd be able to request up to your cost of attendance minus all other aid from this loan. Still nothing, huh?
Oh, here we go. One just came in. What are the financial aid options for international student who is with ethnicity minority background?
So you may qualify for some of the scholarships. You'd have to check with admissions on that. But in terms of other financing, we have other international students who use private loans, and there's a slide that's coming up in a few minutes that has the site that you'd go on to apply for that.
Okay, that's it so far.
Okay.
Maybe that'll get the ball rolling. We just need one to get us going, hopefully.
Yep. So your cost of attendance includes both direct and indirect costs. Direct costs are things that you'll actually be charged for, like the tuition and student service fees and the health insurance plan, which you can waive if you already have insurance. Indirect costs are things like books, living expenses, and transportation. Basically all other things that you might need to cover while you're in school, and you can get loans through them to for them to cover those expenses. So this next slide shows an estimated cost for a current master's student taking 14 credits each semester. If your credits are different, the tuition would change, but everything else would pretty much be the same. Again, you might not need to cover all of these expenses depending on your situation. For example, if you have other support, you might not need to take out funds for living expenses. So we ask that you come up with a budget and borrow only what you need. So as you can see on this slide, all of your aid can only go up to the total cost of attendance, which includes the budget items that I just mentioned. Things at the bottom are considered self-help aid and would be factored into your cost of attendance first. You can then get the Stafford loan and the maximum plus loan if you want, which would be the difference between all other aid and the cost of attendance. We do ask that you wait to submit your plus loan request once you know how much you need, though. So as I mentioned, the private loans are another option, and we do encourage you to look into the federal loans if you qualify, but for those who don't, if you use elmselect.com, it's pretty much our third-party platform, and it just makes the loan processing a lot easier. So there are a lot of different options listed on there. So are there any questions on the things that we've covered so far?
We did have one. Go ahead, Hilary.
Okay, go ahead.
We did have one come in. A student is asking, I'm going to be borrowing not only for tuition, but also for living expenses. How would I receive the money for living expenses?
That's a good question. So every semester after add drop, that's when we start processing aid. We do one final enrollment check. So once your loans are processed, they'll get posted to your account. And assuming you've requested more than what you owe, that amount would result in a credit balance on your account, and that will be refunded to you about 2 weeks after the semester starts. And that's the money that you'd have to use for living expenses or whatever you need for that semester. that it?
No, we got another one coming in. For FAFSA, they look into how much you made last year, but if we go to school full time, we won't have access to that money anymore. So how do they take into consideration how much you make now versus how much you're going to be making in the future? Good question.
So, although the FAFSA does take your income information into consideration when you fill it out, we assume that as a graduate student going full time, that income will no longer be in place. So we do have students who are concerned about that prior to starting school, but you don't need to worry about that.
Does the FAFSA factor in 401k savings?
That it would be part of something that would be listed on there, but it won't count against you just because at the graduate level the cost is so high that you'd still appear as a needy student.
Actually, I think that's a question in relation to income-based repayment. So I will touch on that in a little bit. Good questions coming in though. A lively audience. Yeah, love it.
Well, Dan,
All
you
right,
can
that's
take
it for now.
the repayment stuff if you want.
What's that?
I said if you're ready to take them through the repayment section.
Yeah. Okay.
Go for
We'll
it.
start with an audience poll before we get into the loan repayment. See if I can launch this one now. Okay. When do you plan on starting graduate school? So we do have a spring cohort for our OLP programs, our bachelor's completion, and our counseling. If you're looking for clinical, you have to start in the fall. Okay, so looks like mostly fall of 21. A couple people interested in spring 21 and some undecided. Thank you for responding. All right, so we're going to take you into the loan repayment section of the webinar. These were just published yesterday, as a matter of fact. So the government measures loan default rates for a 3-year period. The national average is 9.7%, and we're proud to say that our default rate is only 2.2%. So when students graduate from William James College, there's a 6-month grace period. And then after that, students will begin to pay their loans. Again, it's measured over a 3-year period. And only 2.2% of those students that attended our school went into default. And we think that the main reason for that is because many of our students go into income-based repayment, which I will get into. So one option after graduation is loan consolidation. So if you have your undergraduate loans, you have your loans from William James College, they're going to be all at varying rates. One option is to consolidate that into one rate. And your loan servicer will help you with this. So when you graduate, you'll always want to ask the question, which is the best best repayment program for you. And as Hilary mentioned earlier, we always recommend, if possible, that you use the federal loan system so that you can take advantage of these income-based repayment programs or loan consolidation. So federal, there's a bunch of income-based repayment programs out there right now. The most popular one extends your repayment over 25 years, and it's you pay 10% of your discretionary income. I don't think that includes your 401k savings. I think it's based on your income for that given year on your W-2. As a reminder, standard repayment is 10 years. Many of our students can't afford that, especially if they're in the clinical Psyd program where they've accumulated 5 years of loans. So these programs are very popular for our students, and it really stretches out the loan and allows you to pay a lot less. I think we have about 70% of our students who participate in an income-based repayment plan right now. You can combine income-based repayment with public service loan forgiveness. This is a very, very popular program for our students. We have many of our graduates go in, work for school systems, government agencies, prisons, nonprofit hospitals, even teaching. William James College is a nonprofit. So any of our faculty, who graduated from the school are eligible for this program. If you work 10 years for one of these agencies and you make 10 years of qualifying payments while working for a nonprofit as a full-time employee, not only will you be forgiven whatever is left on your loan, it's tax-free. So you can combine income-based repayment on this. So instead of paying, your loan over 25 years, then you just paid over 10. And the big thing here is also it's tax-free when you're forgiven. So if you go into regular income-based repayment after 25 years, then you'll be taxed on whatever amount is forgiven at the end of that 25-year period. And please keep an eye on any news out there, because these programs have been in the news for a while, but income-based repayment has been around now for, I think, 13 years. So it hasn't changed in a while. Studentloans.gov, that's a great resource for you to decide which income-based repayment program is best. They're somewhat similar. As a graduate student, you're a little bit restricted to which one and how many years. But the best one right now for our students is that revised pay-as-you-earn repay. That's the 25-year, 10% of discretionary income. There's also some specialized programs here. If you click on the links, you'll find some more information about these programs. I've been able to attach the handout, Hilary, today for the first time in the last couple of webinars. So the handout is attached to this webinar, so you can download it and click on these links for more information. And getting back to our default rate, we think this is the main reason why our students are graduating. They're finding jobs in the field. They're passing the licensing exam, and students who graduate and find employment are able to pay back their loans, especially when they can take advantage of these income-based repayment programs. Okay, Hilary, let's see. It looks like some questions have come in the meantime. And let's see. Will there be healthcare coverage as a student? That's a great question. So the state of Massachusetts actually mandates that any student that is 3/4 time or more either participate in our student health insurance plan or waive our student health insurance plan, but provide documentation that you have your own coverage. The only exception to that is fully online programs. Students are not allowed to participate in the health insurance plan if you're a fully online student. You actually don't have to waive either. It's Blue Cross Blue Shield health plan, so you can use the plan anywhere that any provider that covers Blue Cross. It's a great plan that we have at the school. What is the school's plan for spring and fall of 21 admission given the pandemic? Will classes be held in person? So that's a great question. Don't know the answer to that yet. For the fall, this fall, we've gone fully online. We did have orientation that was optional. Students had the option to participate on campus or do it online. I think we had about a 50-50 split. I do think it's likely that we'll be online again for the spring, unless the vaccine comes out faster than what people are expecting. And I'm really hoping we'll be back in full for fall of 21. But again, it'll depend on the vaccine and the state of Massachusetts rules as well. The building is open for students to come in and use the library, use a conference room, meet with someone like Hilary in person, or someone in, a faculty member, or someone in admissions. We're open right now Monday through Thursday, 8 to 4, and actually it's Tuesday and Wednesday 8 to 4. Monday and Thursday we're open 8 to 6. Although you might not find a full staff in the building, after 4 o'clock. But we are open for someone to come in.
Just to add to that, if you do want to make an appointment with someone from Student Services, it's best to email us first, just because we're kind of here like every other day, or it might change week to week. So you might want to reach out to us just to make sure that we can catch you on the right day.
Yeah, great question. Yeah, we're not allowed to staff the building in full right now per Massachusetts state law. So you want to reach out in advance to make sure that someone will be on campus that you're looking for. For unsubsidized graduate loans that accrue interest during the school period, how can we pay for interest while we're in school? Do we pay the school or the lender directly? Good question.
Yeah, so students have asked about this in the past, and if you're in a position where you can pay the interest, that's good, and you should definitely do that. So you would actually have to do that through your loan servicer directly. And if you need help figuring out who your loans have been assigned to, you can ask me, and I can look into it. It might not be available, the first week of school, but it should be within the first month, and then you can just reach out to them and figure out how to make the payments.
Okay, how is spousal income factored into loan repayment, income repayment program? So your family size and your family income is both factored in. So if you have dependents, it'll lower your payment if you have children. But your spousal income will be factored in every year. There is a way around that. We've seen it in rare occasion where a married couple will file separately. You'll be taxed at a higher rate because you'll be penalized for doing that. But some students have found that paying the higher taxes, they've been able to lower their monthly payments for their loans because they're not factoring their spousal income. So it's a good question. Another question, I'm on the fence between applying to the master's and Psyd program, and the cost will be a big factor to which one I'll pursue. Is it possible to apply to both programs, apply for financial aid, and decide between them once the aid is awarded? I like that question.
Yeah, so that's more of an admissions question, but from what I know, you can apply to more than one program. And I think if you're invited for an interview, you'd interview with someone from each department. I might be wrong about that. In terms of financial aid, that's definitely fine. I just suggest you submit your Fafsa, and then assuming you're admitted to one of the programs or whichever one you decide to enroll in, your aid would be based on that, just because the loan limits are different.
Okay, I heard there's a new grant for financial aid for minorities starting this year. And wow, so, I mean, someone's really done their research. So we did receive a pretty large Hersa grant for our counseling and our clinical Psyd programs. You must be admitted to the college before you can apply for the scholarship. And once you're admitted, you're welcome to apply and be considered. It is a scholarship for full-time students. The scholarship is $32,500 for the year, and it is possibly renewable. It's not guaranteed that it'll be renewed each year, but you're welcome to apply again the following year. And we have currently 20 students in both programs that have been awarded that scholarship. So a very generous program. And if you would like to find more information, you can go online and see that. That's a really good question. Do graduate students qualify for food stamps while in school, or do you also have to take out loans to buy food?
That is a question. So I've had students I have to fill out a form for them, and I'm not sure what the outcome is on if they get approved or not. I think it depends on their income and if they have dependents and those kinds of things. But I know there have been some students who have applied and been approved. I'm just not sure what the criteria is. And if not, then yes, you can take out loans above and beyond what you're charged. So that would be for things like rent or your mortgage, groceries, gas, that kind of thing.
Will international students be eligible for the Hersa Scholarship? Unfortunately, Hersa does not allow us to award those scholarships to international students. We do have other scholarships that you'd be eligible for. We offer a Serving the Underserved scholarship in-house. That's It's awarded usually to 6 students each year, and that gives students 2/3 off their tuition costs. That generally is renewable for the life of the program. You'd be eligible to apply for that one. That scholarship, unlike the Hersa scholarships, you would apply for before you're admitted to the program, and you would receive the admissions offer along with the offer for the scholarship for that one. And again, for more information, you can look at our website. Great questions today, by the way. This has been perhaps our best, Hilary.
I know, seriously.
Will interviews be conducted online for fall 2020 admission? So the plan is to conduct interviews online in the spring. So we usually have interviews in, it's not really spring, we call it our spring semester, but interviews usually take place, January, February, March. And the plan is to do that online, and we're right now, our marketing and admissions team is rethinking how to do that, since it'll be a first for us. We did have some rolling admission last year once the pandemic started, but our general regular admission cycle had already gone through when the pandemic started. So this will be new for us. And I think that's it for now. Please keep them coming. We have a couple minutes left for you. So any last questions would be great. Otherwise, Hilary, maybe you could close on these last couple slides.
Yeah, so, as you see here, it's just important to make a budget and take out only what you need for loans, since you will be paying this back. There are some links on the screen here that have some loan repayment options and calculators, just to see what your overall repayments, monthly payments might look like. And you can reach out to us at any point. I think there's another slide that has our contact information on it if you want to set up a phone call or an in-person appointment. We're more than willing to do that. I know it was a lot of information today, so if you think of questions later on, don't hesitate to contact us.
Okay, so there is a question about the underserved scholarship. So 6 are awarded in a given year. How many applied? Do you know that, Hilary?
I do not. I would say maybe 20, 30.
Yeah, I was saying, I was going to guess the number is probably in the 30s.
Yeah.
And for the Hersa scholarship, where 20 were awarded for each, I actually don't know. I don't know how many applied. It's a good question.
20 20 applied for the for the clinical mental health counseling program. Or sorry, maybe it was 21.
Wow.
And then for the clinical program, I want to say it was like 50 or 60.
Okay,
But those
that makes
numbers
sense.
you might want to check with admissions or some of the department chairs who would know the exact numbers.
What happens if you make a budget that is too frugal and you end up running out of money toward the end of the year? I like that one too.
Yep. So if you request less than what you need just because you're trying to be financially responsible, you can definitely request more aid throughout the year, as long as you do it before the end of the semester. That's completely fine.
If the 5th year of the Psyd program is a full-time internship, are students paid for this? Does one pay tuition for the 5th year if it is spent in the internship? So the tuition for that 5th year, it's just 1 credit a semester, plus the student services fee, so that we do keep the cost down for the 5th year. You are eligible to borrow for that tuition charge, which is pretty small, plus for living expenses. And the 5th year internship, if it's an APA internship, it's definitely a paid internship. I have to say it's not a lot of money. It's better than nothing. But I think the 5th year, I know it's at least 22,500 as of today. Obviously, it's going to change a lot in a few years. I don't know how much they vary. So I know it's not a lot of money, but it's better than nothing. What was the last year's Psyd APA internship match rate? I know it was up there. It's definitely on our website. I want to say it was in the 90s.
Yeah, I think it was in the high 90s.
And we also have for the Psyd program, we have an in-house APA consortium. So our students can do a full-time APA internship in the 5th year, or you can opt to apply for a half-time internship in the 4th and 5th years. Those are also paid. They're paid at half of that, $22,500. And so, that gets about 30 of our students through the half-time internship, and then the remaining have to apply for the full-time in the 5th year.
This is a really interactive group.
I know. Any other questions? I was trying to find that. Here it is right here. I'm trying to find that number. Does age factor in loan acceptance? So the only thing that age would not factor. The only thing that would factor there is credit rating. Our scholarships first come, first served. So our, for our regular scholarships, they're not. For the Hersa scholarships, there'll be a deadline, posted on our website for next year on the timeline for that. For the underserved scholarships, there is a deadline for those as well. But if you're applying if you're not applying for one of those, then you'll automatically be considered during the admissions process, and they're not first come, first serve.
Admissions, really, although scholarships are included in your financial aid, admissions really oversees that entire process. So specific questions, they can help you with those in terms of deadlines and all that. You think that's it?
Yeah, I think I found it. I think it looks like it's 91% for the APA internship. Is 94 the year before, 95 the year before that. So we've had a good match rate. All right. Well, I think that's it for questions. Thank you everyone for making this interactive as possible, and we hope to see you in person soon. Have a good afternoon, everyone.
Bye.